My name is Kayla Donovan, and at 34, I never imagined I'd be gasping for air on a hospital bed in Portland, monitors beeping like alarms in my head. My hands clawed at my throat as the inhaler lay useless on the side table. Another attack worse than ever, triggered by the smoke from that damn oven at my parents' bookstore. The doctor burst in yelling orders for oxygen, but all I could think was Jade, my 5-year-old, safe with the neighbor I'd called in panic. Then the door swung open. My mother stormed in first, eyes narrow. "Kayla, this is it, we can't keep doing this." My sister hovered behind, arms crossed. My father, silent as always. I wheezed, "Help! Jade!" But my mother leaned close, voice ice cold. "Leave it. We don't need it anymore." They turned, my sister grabbing my father's arm, all three vanishing down the hall without a backward glance. Alone. Dying. The weight crushed my chest harder than the asthma ever could. Minutes ticked by in agony, nurses stabilizing me just enough. Then a shadow fell across the bed. A man in a sharp suit, silver hair, steady eyes, slipped in quietly. He didn't say much at first, just pulled up a chair. "Rough night." His voice cut through the haze. Before I could answer, he slid a single sheet of paper across the blanket. One look at it and everything shifted. But that's getting ahead. What happened next? It broke them and rebuilt me. Before I get to my story, I want to know what time and what city you're listening in. I'm glad to know how far my story has spread. The next morning, sunlight cut through the blinds of my new apartment overlooking the Willamette River. I sipped black coffee, the steam curling up like ghosts from last night. The restraining order sat on the kitchen table, ink still fresh from the notary's stamp. It felt final, like slamming a door on a house I'd outgrown. But finality needed proof. That's why I was heading to meet Detective Elena Martinez at a nondescript diner off Burnside Street, neutral ground, away from prying eyes. Elena arrived right on time, her badge glinting under the fluorescent lights as she slid into the booth. She was mid-40s, sharp-eyed, with a no-nonsense bob that screamed Portland PD. "Ms. Donovan," she said, shaking my hand firm. "You said this was about family neglect. Walk me through it." I pulled out the folder from my bag, the one I'd compiled over sleepless weeks. "It's medical abandonment. Start with the CCTV." I tapped the printed stills, grainy black and white frames from Legacy Emmanuel's security feed, time-stamped 3:47 a.m. on that Tuesday. There, I was hooked to an oxygen mask in the ER bay, chest heaving under the thin gown. The door framed my mother, Crystal Donovan, pausing mid-step, her purse slung over one shoulder, like she was late for bridge club. Behind her, my sister, Erica Hayes, gripped my father's arm, Marvin Donovan, urging him forward. No glance back, no hesitation. They vanished into the hallway, leaving the nurse to rush in alone. Elena's brow furrowed as she scanned the images. Clear as day, hospital policy requires family to stay for critical cases like severe asthma. This looks intentional. "Intentional doesn't cover it," I said, voice steady but edged. "Scroll to the texts." I handed over my phone, the thread open between Crystal and Erica from that night. 10:32 p.m. Crystal. "She's wheezing bad after the smoke. Kids are scared." Erica. "Bring Jade here, we can handle her." Then, 42 a.m. post-walkout Crystal. "She's always drama. Let's go home. Hospital's got it." Erica. "Dad's right. No more bailouts." Elena whistled low. "Cold. This shows premeditation. Oregon Statute 163.2105, criminal mistreatment for failing to provide care to a dependent adult in crisis. Your asthma history makes it worse. They knew the risks." Dependent adult. The words landed like a slap. At 34, with a daughter to raise, I wasn't some burden. They'd drilled that in since I chose writing over Erica's safe bank job. But seeing it in pixels, it twisted something deep. "They weren't just absent," I murmured. "They planned around it." She nodded, flipping to the last set bank statements from my Chase app, red-flagged transactions glowing. "And the finances," I leaned in. My emergency fund $7,000 scraped from freelance gigs and overtime edits. Depleted in one-night ambulance ride $2,500. ER admission $3,000 out-of-pocket after insurance. Nebulizer follow-up the rest. I woke up to overdraft alerts while they drove home to their cozy split level in Beaverton. The numbers blurred for a second, remembering the panic call to my sitter at dawn begging her to watch Jade another day. No family safety net. Just me staring at zero balance. Elena jotted notes on her pad. This ties in. Financial strain from their support, or lack, exacerbates the neglect. Prosecutable Ms. Donovan. We could push misdemeanor charges, maybe a civil suit for emotional distress. Oregon courts have ruled on similar cases, fines, restitution. I shook my head, the coffee turning bitter in my mouth. Jail won't fix it. They've got alibis, overwhelmed, they'd say. I want justice that sticks. The kind that strips their masks in public. My mind flashed to the foundation rep who'd appeared that ER night, his quiet donation flagged in the hospital invoice. Whitaker Health Systems Anonymous at first, but it bought me time to breathe, literally. That seed of help. It was sprouting now. Elena closed the folder, her expression turning appraising. Smart. Social leverage hits where it hurts in a town like this. But document everything, timestamps, witnesses. If it escalates, call me. She slid her card across the table, standing with a nod. You're stronger than they think. As she left, the diner door chimed, letting in a gust of September chill. I pocketed the card, the folder heavier in my lap. Proof in hand, but the real fire starters waited at home, those recordings I'd pulled from the hidden app on my phone. But the recordings waiting on my laptop would change everything. I drove home from the diner in a haze, the folder tucked under my arm like a loaded gun. The apartment door clicked shut behind me, and I dumped my keys on the counter, the Willamette's gray sprawl mocking me through the window. Jade was at preschool, thank God, for the subsidized spot Whitaker's foundation had hooked up. No distractions. Just me and the laptop on the coffee table screen, dark and waiting. I flipped it open, the fan whirring to life. The app icon stared back, Voice Memo Pro, the one I'd installed months ago after too many casual family dinners, where comments cut deeper than knives. Paranoia, sure, but Portland winters got long and isolation bred habits. I'd hit record, that ER night phone hidden in my jacket pocket on the bed rail. Battery held just long enough. Now cursor hovered over the file. ER waiting 3 a.m. .wave. Deep breath. Play. Static crackled first, then the beeps of monitors filtering through. My own ragged breaths post-nebulizer, still ragged. Footsteps, then voices, low and urgent in the hall outside the curtain. Crystal's tone sliced in sharp. Fake crisis again. Every time she calls, it's this wheezing for attention. Marvin, tell her to shape up. Marvin's rumble hesitant. She's our daughter, Crystal. Jade needs her mom. A scoff Erica's edged with that banker precision she wielded like a weapon. Mom's right. Derek was smart to bolt after Jade. Kayla's freelance scribbles barely cover rent now. What if she doesn't pull through? Silence hung broken by my faint cough on the recording. Then Crystal voice dropping to a whisper that the mic barely caught. Insurance covers Jade's custody transfer. Problem solved if she... My finger jammed the pause button, heart slamming against ribs. Insurance. Custody. The words clawed up from memory, those offhand jabs at family barbecues, Erica's eyes flicking to Jade playing in the yard. She'd be better off stable. They'd murmur when I stepped away for a refill. But this planned I ejected the drive from my desk drawer, the one with the hospital discharge papers, and sifted through. Tucked in the back, folded crisp like it had been waiting, a draft petition. Petition for temporary guardianship of minor child Jade Donovan, dated 3 weeks before the attack. Signatures: Crystal Donovan petitioner, Erica Hayes co-affiant. Grounds: mother's chronic health instability endangering child's welfare evidenced by repeated medical emergencies. Attached my old ER visits from the last year, printed and annotated. Recurrent asthma exacerbations due to lifestyle stressors, unfit parenting. Unfit. The paper shook in my grip. They'd known. Those check-ins after my last flare-up, Crystal pressing for details on my inhaler, refills, Marvin nodding along. Not concern ammo. I grabbed my phone, scrolling to the call logs synced from that week. There, 11:47 p.m. the night before the smoke incident at the bookstore. Outgoing from Crystal to Harlan Fisk, family attorney in Teagard. Duration 4 minutes. I hadn't known about that call then, but the subpoena for records filed after the Foundation's social worker tipped me off had pulled it up. Voicemail transcription stamped official, Harlan's assistant, Mrs. Donovan, confirming the emergency protocol for Jade. If tonight's episode escalates, we'll file the petition by morning, prepped and notarized. Escalates. As if my lungs were a faulty engine they could trade in. I paced the living room, Jade's crayon drawings taped to the fridge blurring in my vision. 5 years old with her gap-toothed grin and endless questions about why Aunt Erica never stays for stories. They'd eyed her like a prize stable home, 2-car garage, Erica's perfect nuclear setup. Me, the glitch, the writer scraping by on op-eds for local rags, dodging deadlines between nebulizer hits. The shock settled into fury, hot and clarifying. This wasn't oversight. It was a blueprint. Wait for the breakdown, swoop in as saviors. Crystal's leave it in the ER, not abandonment. A signal. They'd banked on me fading out, Jade slipping into their fold without a fight. I sank onto the couch, replaying the audio once more, etching every syllable. Harlan's number burned in my contacts, unlisted now, but traceable. One call to confirm, and the petition's metadata would seal it. Drafted in advance, contingencies for imminent health decline. They'd gambled on my history, the asthma logs I'd shared in trust during holiday vents. Jade's backpack slumped by the door, her lunchbox unzipped from this morning. I zipped it shut, the click echoing. No more gambles. Their plan ended here. That plan was just the start of their countermove. 3 days later, I sat in a sleek conference room in downtown Portland, the skyline smudged with rain beyond the glass. Across from me was Preston Whitaker, silver hair catching the light, his suit crisp as ever. He'd been the shadow in the ER that night, the one whose foundation paid my hospital bill when my account hit zero. Next to him, Evelyn Hendricks, my lawyer, flipped through a legal pad, her pen tapping a rhythm of calculated calm. The recordings from my laptop, Crystal's custody plot, Erica's venom burned in my mind, fuel for what came next. "We've got enough," Evelyn said, voice clipped, Portland's best family law shark in a navy blazer. "Neglect's clear, Oregon statute backs it. But you want public, not court." I nodded, jaw tight. They don't get to hide behind sorry again. I want their world to feel what mine did. Preston leaned forward, hands folded. My foundation tracks cases like yours, families abandoning medical crises. We've got resources, social leverage, legal filings, whatever you need. No strings. His eyes held the same steady warmth from that hospital chair, but now they gleamed with strategy. "Social first," I said. "They built their lives on looking perfect. Let's tear it down." Evelyn outlined the plan, each point landing like a chess move. Plan A, leak the ER audio, Crystal's problem solved if she. And Erica's Derek was smart to bolt to a burner X account. Title it, "Family Ditches Dying Mom for Custody Grab." Frame it as a whistleblower drop, Portland local for max spread. Plan B, tip the state licensing board about Crystal's side gig as an in-home caregiver. Her clients, elderly, vulnerable, wouldn't tolerate neglect tied to her name. Plan C, hand Erica's bank records to a private investigator. Those $23,000 in mishandled client transfers, not an accident. I'd caught her boasting about creative accounting at a barbecue last summer, smug over her Beaverton deck. Risks, I asked, fingers drumming the table. Social's unpredictable, Evelyn warned. Viral posts hit hard in tight communities like this, think Yelp pile-ons. But blowback could paint you as vengeful. Legal's safer, but slower. Fraud needs hard proof, Neglect's easier but lighter, a fine maybe community service. Social, I repeated. They wanted Jade without me. Let their neighbors decide who's unfit. Preston pulled out his tablet showing a draft post already queued on a ghost account. The audio file scrubbed for my voice just there sat ready, 47 seconds of damning clarity. Caption: This family left their daughter fighting for air to plan a custody grab. Portland, you know them. A blurred still from the CCTV, their silhouettes unmistakable tagged Hasha family betrayal. I stared at the screen, pulse racing. Add the bookstore's name, Donovan's Reads. Let it stick. Evelyn raised an eyebrow. That's bold. Their shop's their lifeline. You sure? They were sure. When they walked out, I shot back. Jade's backpack flashed in my head, her lunchbox unzipped from that morning. I'd almost lost her. Hit send. Preston tapped the tablet. Posted. The room went quiet, just the hum of the heater and rain tapping glass. 6 hours later, my burner phone buzzed, X notifications flooding in. 50,000 shares climbing fast. Comments piled up. Disgusting boycott Donovan's who, leaves their kid like that. Katu News had DM'd for an interview. Portland's gossip mill tight as any small town was churning. Evelyn checked her phone, smirking. Yelp's already tanking their rating 2 stars and dropping. That's Plan A. I exhaled, the weight shifting but not gone. Crystal's voice still echoed, insurance custody problem solved. They'd gambled on my collapse. Now their perfect facade was cracking. The cracks would spread faster than they could run. By the next morning, Portland's online pulse was hammering. I woke to my burner phone buzzing, X notifications piling up like a digital wildfire. The post, those 47 seconds of Crystal's cold problem solved, and Erica's venom had hit 80,000 shares by sunrise. Comments flooded, Donovan's Reads is done. How do you ditch your own kid? I scrolled, pulse quickening, as Yelp reviews for the bookstore tanked overnight. 1.8 stars slammed with 1-line burns. Owners abandon family boycott, local X groups lit up tagging Katu News, who'd already aired a segment, Portland family, accused of neglect in viral audio. I sipped coffee at my kitchen counter, Jade's crayons scattered nearby from her morning doodles. The weight of it, public unraveling, wasn't joy. It was justice, sharp and heavy. Day 1. Plan A landed hard. Donovan's Reads, my parents' pride, saw foot traffic vanish. A neighbor texted me a photo, the shop's sign, family owned since '92, now mocked by a handwritten poster taped nearby, family that betrays. Day 3. Plan C kicked in. The PI I'd hired, recommended by Preston's foundation, dropped an email with bank records. Erica's creative accounting wasn't just talk. She'd siphoned $23,000 from client accounts at her bank, funneling it through shell transfers disguised as consulting fees. The PI flagged it to the Oregon DOJ's Financial Crimes Unit, anonymous but airtight emails, timestamps, client complaints from months back. By noon, texts from Brody hit my phone. Erica's suspended. Banks in damage control, FBI's sniffing. I stared, the fridge humming in the quiet. Suspended. Her perfect Beaverton life was crumbling. Day 5. Plan B struck. Crystal's caregiver side gig, watching elderly clients in Lake Oswego, imploded. Her agency got wind of the viral audio through client families who'd seen the news. Neglect's a deal breaker. The agency had emailed her, CC'd to me via the PI. Crystal was fired, her license under review by the state board. I imagined her in that Beaverton split level, staring at her phone, no clients to call her dependable anymore. Then the texts came. 47 in 2 days, flooding my real phone, not the burner. Crystal, Kayla. Stop this, we're sorry. Erica, you're ruining us. Call it off, Marvin. This isn't you. Talk to us. My thumb hovered over reply, their voices from the ER looping in my head. Custody insurance unfit. I said an auto reply. You chose to walk out. Live with the consequences. Sent to all 3, then muted. Brody called from Seattle, voice low. You see the news, they're done in this town. He'd been my only lifeline, checking on Jade when I couldn't. Keep going, he urged. They don't get to play victims. The PI's next report landed that evening. Erica's bank emails, uncovered via subpoena, confirmed the $23,000 fraud. One client, a retired teacher, had already filed a complaint after noticing discrepancies. The DOJ was building a case. Felony charges loomed 2 to 5 years if convicted. I leaned back, Jade's laughter drifting from her room, where she played with a neighbor's kid. The world was closing in on them just as it had on me that night, wheezing alone in that sterile bay. Preston texted, brief as always, Foundation's tracking fallout. Call if you need us. His team had quietly covered Jade's preschool fees, giving me space to fight. But this wasn't over. The audio was just the spark. Portland's judgment was the flame. The flames were about to roar louder. 2 weeks later, the fallout had carved Portland's gossip mill into a canyon. I stood at my kitchen counter, Jade's lunch packed for preschool, her sparkly sneakers kicking under the table. My phone stayed silent, no more desperate texts from Crystal or Erica. Marvin hadn't tried since the auto-reply shut them down. The city had done the rest. Donovan's Reads was finished. A foreclosure notice hit their mailbox, pinned to the bookstore door by a county clerk, public records shared across X by a local realtor. Revenue had crashed 90% after the boycott. Yelp reviews stuck at 1.5 stars with comments like, "Betrayers don't deserve business." The shop's Instagram, once bustling with book club ads, was a ghost town, last post buried under hate. Portland's tight-knit indie scene had turned its back, neighbors crossing the street to avoid Crystal's pleading eyes. Erica's bank job was gone for good. The DOJ's fraud probe, sparked by the PI's tip, escalated when a second client, a small business owner, confirmed $10,000 siphoned from her account. Felony charges dropped, 2 counts of theft by deception, 3 to 5 years looming if convicted. Her Beaverton house hit the market, forced sale to cover legal fees. Paige, her wife, moved their kids Riley and Quinn to her parents' place, dodging reporters camped outside. I saw it on Catu's evening news. Local banker faces fraud allegations amid family scandal. Erica's LinkedIn profile, once polished, went private. Crystal's collapse came quieter but cut deeper. Her caregiver license was revoked after 3 clients filed complaints, citing the viral audio as proof of negligence. No agency would touch her. Eviction papers followed. Her Beaverton split-level leased out to new tenants. She'd been spotted at a shelter downtown, hair unwashed, clutching a suitcase. Then the call came from OHSU Hospital. Brody relayed it. Crystal had a stroke, stress-induced, non-fatal. She's in recovery, asking for you. I didn't answer. Her problem solved still rang louder than any apology. Marvin showed up unannounced that evening, knocking soft on my apartment door. I opened it, Jade playing in her room out of earshot. His face was gray, eyes sunken, no trace of the man who'd stood silent while Crystal plotted custody. Kayla, he started, voice cracking. We're losing everything, the shop, our home. Please call this off. I held his gaze steady. You lost me first. That night, in the ER, you chose to walk. I pulled the folded custody petition from my bag, the one dated before my attack. You wanted Jade. Planned to take her if I didn't make it. Look at it. He took the paper, hands trembling, scanning the signatures, his own included, scrawled in blue ink. We were scared, he whispered. Thought we were protecting her. Protecting her. My voice rose sharp. You left me fighting for air, Marvin. You signed up to steal my daughter. I stepped back, door half closed. Everything falling apart now. That's your collateral. He crumpled the paper, tears streaking. What do we do? Nothing, I said. You're done in this town. Live with it. The door clicked shut, his shadow lingering outside. Brody texted later. He's crashing at a friend's now. They're broken. I nodded to the empty room, Jade's giggles filtering through. Preston's foundation had moved us to this subsidized place, safe, quiet hours. The community that shunned them embraced us preschool moms dropping off casseroles, inviting Jade to playdates. Their world was ashes. Mine was just starting to bloom. The bloom would hold a mirror to their ruin. 1 year later, I stood under the studio lights of Katu's Stories of Strength, my hands steady as the host introduced me. Kayla Donovan, Portland mom who turned betrayal into triumph. The audience clapped, their faces a blur of warmth I hadn't felt in years. Jade, now 6, sat in the green room with Brody coloring superhero masks. My freelance writing agency, built from late-night pitches after Jade's bedtime, was now pulling steady contracts enough to cover our new apartment near Laurelhurst Park. The Whitaker Foundation's preschool subsidy and asthma support program had given us breathing room, literally and figuratively. The host leaned in, voice soft. "Kayla, your family left you during a life-threatening asthma attack. How did you rebuild?" I took a breath, the memory of that ER night sharp but distant. They chose to walk out. I chose to build a new family, people who stay when it counts. The crowd nodded, some wiping eyes. I didn't mention the audio, the boycott, the charges, just the truth. Sometimes blood isn't enough. You pick who deserves your trust. Back home, my phone stayed quiet most days. No more bookstore. No more Beaverton split level. Marvin worked nights now, stocking shelves at a Fred Meyer for minimum wage, $15 an hour, barely enough for rent. His face, gaunt from that doorstep plea, haunted me once, but not anymore. Erica was in year 1 of a 3-year sentence at Coffee Creek Correctional, her fraud conviction sealed after a client's testimony. Paige had taken Riley and Quinn to Idaho, cut off from Portland's whispers. Crystal landed in a Gresham assisted living facility, $4,000 a month, eating her savings. A stroke's lingering effects left her bedridden, reliant on aides who didn't know her name. That afternoon, my phone buzzed, a call from an unknown number. I answered, expecting a client. Crystal's voice, frail and rasping, came through. "Kayla, I'm dying. Please, forgive me. Come see me." The words hung heavy with years of her judgment, every "get a real job," every "you're not enough for Jade." Ice settled in my veins. The ER flashed back, her purse slung over her shoulder, her cold, "Leave it." The custody petition predated, waiting for my lungs to fail. "You taught me family's a choice," I said, voice even. "You chose to leave me fighting for air, plotting to take my daughter. I chose myself and Jade. Die with your choices." A choked sob came through, then silence. I ended the call, opened my contacts, and deleted her number. The screen went blank, like a weight lifting off my chest. Jade ran in, holding a crayon sketch of a superhero with my face. "Mommy, look, it's you." I hugged her tight, her warmth grounding me. Brody followed, tossing his jacket on the couch. "Saw the interview," he said. "You owned it. They're gone for good, huh?" I nodded. They lost their shot. The Whitaker Foundation had become our anchor, Preston and Nora checking in, sending Jade books on asthma heroes. The preschool moms, my new network, texted about playdates, their casseroles still stacked in my fridge. Portland had wrapped us in a community that didn't judge, didn't walk away. I'd started a blog, Single Moms Rising, sharing tips for navigating chronic illness and betrayal. Readers commented from Seattle to Salem. "Your story saved me." Their world, Crystal's, Marvin's, Erica's, was rubble. Mine stood tall, built on choices that kept us whole. Blood didn't bind us. Loyalty did. Some relationships don't deserve redemption. Some people don't get forgiveness.